Hey, welcome back to the channel. Yeah, we got another waterfall behind me if you haven't noticed. That's Spearfish Falls here in South Dakota in the Black Hills. I just finished my first composition and I actually shot this one two different ways. I went with a traditional landscape photo and I also did a portrait. No filters, no nothing. We're still here hanging out with Shawn and Corinne from the Travels of Red Rover. Check out their channel, there's a link down below. And look forward to a future little fireside chat style series coming from both channels where we talk about what we know about YouTube and photography and, you know, just the general stuff that photographers talk about back at camp when they're not out shooting. So here are the photos that I just took. I'm gonna walk around and find another composition. We're trying not to step on each other's toes because it's kind of cramped quarters here, but we're doing a good job.
So this is kind of the obvious shot at Spearfish Falls. You walk up to the platform and boom, it's right there in front of you. Yeah. Not to say I won't take the fish in the barrel shot when it's presented to me, but I would like something a little bit more unique. I did crop in a little bit in the field to exclude some things that were just bugging the heck out of me that day. Here's the raw versus the processed photo. Tell me what you think down in a comment below. I didn't do a lot here, just some dodging and burning. Took down some things that were blowing out a little bit too much that leaded to a little bit too much distraction of the eye. Also cropped the remainder of that birch tree out because that was just leading me out of the image. Again, let me know what you think. Leave a comment down below. I do like this location and hopefully someday Shelley and I can get back there and spend a little bit more quality time photographing this waterfall.
I'm on. Hi, everybody. Hi.
Fast channel.
Okay, well, I started out.
Shelley Neeson going here, and she's going to explain her shot.
Okay. Well, I've already done a few shots. I started out horizontal, but I had to back up quite a ways to get it because I've got a slightly longer lens. But I was able to get what I wanted out of it, and then I wanted to include on that shot the little birch tree on the left-hand side because I just think it's beautiful, and it kind of, you know, gives a little bit different perspective on it. Then I did a vertical shot, zoomed in just so I got just the waterfall and the base of the waterfall and the pool, and did some shots there. And then I decided I kind of worked this way. I start out wide, and then I work my way in. So that's what I did on this one. I picked out sections of the waterfall that I like, that I find appealing, and zoomed in on those and just kind of took some shots of those as well. So that's kind of what I've been working through, and I'm on my last few here. So
very cool, and Shelley gives a great piece of advice there by starting wide and actually working your way into a photograph. Great idea, and thank you very much, Shelley.
You're welcome.
So here are Shelley's photographs, what she just talked about in the field. She did really well with the composition. I love the silkiness of the waterfall as well, and there's still a little bit of detail still in the fall itself, which is nice. She talked about starting wide and then narrowing your focus. It's really good information, a really good tip. That way you get the wide shot, which is typically what most people will get when they get to a location. And then start working that location to find more intimate scenes. That's one thing my wife is really good about, is finding the intimate scenes and the little pieces, the little nuggets of a photograph that make strong, independent images of their own.
So Shawn, we've been hanging out, doing photography and YouTube. Tell me about your composition here that you got going.
So, tonight we decided to come down here to Spearfish Falls, which is an absolutely gorgeous waterfall. And there's a couple of things that make it specifically lovely. One of the main things that make it lovely is that there are a series of ripples coming away from the fall that build in a nice leading line back to the falls. So I'm using the ripples as a way to bring the eye into the falls. There's also some very nice little stones out in the middle of the edge of the falls, which create a little bit of an interesting foreground piece, and then the falls themselves. And one of the things I like to do when I'm shooting falls is I like to get my shutter speed such that I get a nice milky falls, but with a little bit of definition in it. So I typically shoot about 0.8 of a second on my shutter speed. The f-stop that I'm using is usually set somewhere between 11 and 22, depending on controlling my shutter speed, because I'm typically shooting in aperture priority. And as always, I use a polarizer to knock down some of the glare. Now in this particular shot, because the light is essentially gone for the evening, we got a cloud up above us. What isn't really obvious is that there's still a lot of reflected light coming down onto the waterfall. And what the polarizer does is it lets you take some of the glare out of the waterfall and gives it a much fuller and richer look. Now, one of the things that makes me a little unusual from other photographers is I don't always take out all the glare. Sometimes I leave a little bit in because I think it enhances the waterfall. So those are the basic things that I've done tonight. Pretty straightforward composition, pretty dead on. This is actually a very, very straightforward waterfall shoot. Thanks, Craig. And by the way, Corinne and I have had a wonderful time with Craig and Shelley this week. We have a few more days left, and it's been an absolute blast getting out and shooting some photographs and doing some video with each other. So I hope we'll get a chance to do this again in the future. In the meantime, if you want to see our stuff, we're at the Travels of Red Rover, and I'm sure Craig will put a link below. And if you go over to our channel, you'll see some work by Craig and Shelley and a link to their channel as well.
So here are the photographs that Shawn was just talking about. He sent me both orientations, landscape and portrait as well. I really like this portrait one. It pulls you into the falls, gives you a great visual of what he was talking about.
I thought this might be a nice area to do GeoSplaining for everybody. We have not covered the interior of the Black Hills just yet. We'll get to that at some point, but here in Spearfish Canyon where we're at, a lot of this is limestone and sandstone. The limestone is yellowish to white in color mostly. You'll see some orangish reds in there. That's from iron in the limestone. When it weathers, it weathers that color. The sandstones are kind of a pinkish red, and they underlay the limestone, and you'll see it all over in the canyons around here. Here at Spearfish Falls, you'll see the limestone. That's what the water is falling over, is all limestone. But it's a beautiful little area, and it's quite nice for photographs, so that's why we're here.
Spearfish Falls. Yes, definitely on the top 10 list of places to go back to and photograph, along with the rest of Spearfish Canyon in South Dakota. This is composition number 2 from me. I have no idea what happened in the video. I'm pretty sure I recorded it. I remember recording it. This is another one that's kind of easy to find. It's right there on that overlook that they've built, which is really nice and gorgeous. Stable platform to shoot from. On the right is the post-processed. I knocked down some highlights, did a lot of dodging and burning in this one. I probably should have cropped in a little bit more and gotten rid of that birch tree thoroughly. But, you know, everybody's photos look very similar. It's from that location. Like I said, there's not too many unique areas to shoot from. Let me know what you think down below.
So for my third composition here at Spearfish Falls, I came down to a lower part of the observation area where they've cordoned off the area with ropes. They don't want you trampling the banks because they're trying to restore the banks of the streams in this area. So I got down here, put my 14 to 24 mil lens on, zoomed in a little bit. I'll show you the settings in a sec, and slapped on my circular polarizer to pull out some of that glare like Shawn was talking about just a few minutes ago. Here's the photos now.
So this is probably my favorite composition from the day. This is from a lower viewing area, where you can get right down to the edge of the creek. This allowed me to use the ripples like Shawn was talking about earlier as a leading line back into the falls. So if you notice here, the cliff face is a little too bright. It causes a major distraction against the falls. So in post, what I did is a lot of dodging and burning. You'll notice that the processed image is a little bit darker. Well, actually a lot darker on the cliff. Has a lot more detail too. I was able to recover some of that. I also cropped in a little bit because I found the birch tree on the right side of the photograph to be distracting because it was partially there. So I eliminated that distraction by doing just a minor crop on the image. The dodge and burn also helped. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment down below.
Okay, so this is my last composition here, and I kind of wanted to talk about it because it's different from what everybody else took. So just for the heck of it, I'm going to throw it in here. I got down low because I wanted to get these dead limbs out of the image, and I don't really mind the little limbs on the right-hand side. I think they kind of give some depth to the image. And I use these birch trees on the right-hand side as the barrier to my picture to kind of lead your eye into the image. But I just like this composition where I've got a little foliage in the foreground and the birch trees and the waterfall in the background, and I just thought it was a beautiful little section of view here, so that's why I chose this spot. So
here's that composition now. This is Shelley's raw, and yes, this is the first time she's showing a raw in one of our videos, which is kind of cool. So you'll get to see her vision in the field, and you'll get to see how she processes her images. Here you go. Not a lot of difference, but you can clearly see a little bit of dodging and burning there, I do believe. Once again, I think Shelley got a really good image here. Great composition. I loved her explanation in the field as well. Please give her some support down below. Tell her what you think. It's a great image. I love it. I love how she used that birch tree to frame the right side of the composition and the leading line of the creek back into the falls. We'd like to thank you so much for watching. If you haven't yet done so, please hit that subscribe button, ding the bell for future notifications, and give us a big thumbs up. Thank you once again for watching, and we'll see you next time.